Alright, hello again. In this tutorial I'm going to be going over downloading, installing, and setting up Nessus and running your first few vulnerability scans. So here I'm on the Tenable website, and I'm just going to download the latest version of Nessus that they have available. And go to my downloads folder. And that's done. Perfect. Alrighty. We will Alright, so you can run this command to start the installation. A quick note, the installation is going to be a little bit different depending on what operating system you're using. Kali runs on Debian, so you use dpackage. For Windows, you're going to get a Windows installer. FreeBSD, you're going to use package. Red Hat Yum. And pretty much whatever installer your specific OS that you're using uses. So just something to be mindful of. Alright, so our Nessus install is done here. So we will get this up and running. Okay, and now we should be able to navigate to this link here. We get a security warning because the web application we're running doesn't have an SSL certificate, so you can just skip over this. It's perfectly okay. Okay, so here you'll be prompted to create an account. I'm just going to skip past this, and I'll see you when it's done setting up. Okay, so our Nessus install has completed. You can see here I'm logged in, and this is the dashboard when you first log in. You can see here we have a few folders for scans that you want to save. Maybe you use a few different scans regularly, and here's all scans available. Just sort of a organizational thing to organize the vulnerability scans you're running, policies, and different plugins that you can add to your vulnerability scans. And then on this tab, I have an instance of the damn vulnerable web app running. This is running on the internal LAN on this Ubuntu server here. And if we come down here to security, you'll see there's a couple different settings that we can set. So if you're a beginner and you haven't really exploited a web vulnerability before, you can set this to low so that you can practice on some easier exploits. And then if you're an expert, you can set it to high to practice harder vulnerabilities that you'd see in different competitions or capture the flags. And impossible secures all of those vulnerabilities, so that's a really good way to review secure code and learn best practices when you're doing secure coding. So for this demonstration, I'm going to set it to low. We already got that set. Okay. And then down this list, you'll see various vulnerabilities in the OWASP top 10. All right. So to start, I'll start with a basic scan. Here, when you create a new scan, you can click click here since it's empty, but typically you click up in the top right corner. And then these are the different versions of vulnerability scans you have available with the free version. You can see this little upgrade banner for the enterprise or paid version of Nessus that they also offer. So we will start with just a basic network scan here. And for this one, we'll target the entire subnet. And we'll call this LAN. Call this subnet 16 scan. Okay. Put a description, scan of the internal domain network. I'll keep it in my scans. You're also able to set a schedule. So if you want to enable that and you want to run a scan, daily, weekly, monthly, starting whenever date and time you'd like, based on your time zone. We'll leave that off for now. You can configure when the scans are done or they've started, an email address that you'd like the scans to send to. You'd have to be running Nessus on a server that also runs an SMTP server, and then through that you can create an email address to which Nessus will send you emails based on the notifications for your scans. So here are the different discovery options you can set. Common ports, so it'll probably scan your top 100. This will scan all ports, but for this we'll set it to custom so we can see the different options here. And here's a whole bunch of options given to you. So you can see we can set how we'd like to ping devices to determine whether they're online or offline. For this, I'll just we'll keep on TCP and ICMP. You can scan printers. We'll leave all that off for now. We'll set it to ping. You can turn off ping if you don't want to use that. Okay, so here's some more options for port scanning. You can see you have the option when enabled, if a port is not scanned with a selected port scanner, the scanner considers it closed. We're not going to check that. How would we like to enumerate ports? For this, we will turn off SSH. We'll keep on WMI. Turn that off. That on. Scan. TCP. We'll override automatic firewall detection because I actually have group policies set on the domain to turn off Windows Firewall, so there shouldn't be any firewall at all anyways, so we'll just disable that detection. Same here. And we'll leave off UDP. Okay. That's good. And let's try to collect identity data from Active Directory. We'll leave that default. We'll tell it to be verbose, so you can set, if you want to override the normal verbosity, so that would be how much information it gets, you have the option to do that, and say you want a minimal amount of information, you can check that, but I like to get as much information as possible. We'll show patches. We'll try to get DNS names, we'll display pings, see who's unreachable, and we'll keep that like that for now. And for this, I'm gonna put in domain admin credentials so we can get as much information from the scan as possible. If you were, doing this internally for a company that you work for, this is probably the option you would want to do, just because it's going to give you the most, amount of information about your network. But if you're, doing an unknown pen test, you probably wouldn't have this option until maybe further into the project. All right, so we'll save this and we will launch it. All right, so that scan's running. While that's running, I'll also go in here and we'll do a web application scan. There we go. And we'll do that on the server running our vulnerable application. .7. We'll leave this at common ports because we're really only worried about the web vulnerabilities with this scan. We'll do it quick. You have the option to set default quick, so it'll only test for about 5 minutes, and then here it'll test for each for 10 minutes. And then on this, there's no time on that. It actually disables those web tests, so we'll scan for all. And then we'll get as much information as possible again. Don't need any of that since we're just scanning one host. And we don't need that. All right, so we'll save this. And I didn't put credentials in this one because for this one I'm going to play the role of a pen tester. So we'll launch that scan as well. All right, so that's running. I'm gonna pause the video for a second and I'll come you back when we have the results. All right, so our scans are still running here, but I think we have a good enough amount of results. So let's take a look here. We have 90 vulnerabilities reported on the network scan. So you can see they're categorized by their severity, their CVSS score, the name of the vulnerability, categorized by what they apply to. So they call them families here, but you can break them down by firewalls, Windows, web servers, all kinds of things here. And then the count here shows you how many vulnerabilities are in that specific folder. So if we're looking at the info, there's a decent amount of results in here, different enumeration tactics that an attacker could use against those machines to gain information. And then here at the top, we have a hit for a CVE. So that is a 7.8 on the CVSS score. So that's a pretty critical vulnerability that we just found on that server with a pretty quick scan. And then if we head back, getting more stuff in here, you can see I disabled all the firewalls, so Nessus detected that it was able to bypass firewalls pretty easy. And tons of results here. Now, my network isn't configured in this lab to be very secure, so that's why we're getting so many results. Hopefully in a production environment you wouldn't see vulnerabilities at this scale, but it's a good thing to know.